can I beat all 26 bosses in Dark Souls 3 with 26 different weapons? Before we start this run, we've got to set some base rules. Rule number 1, I'm not allowed to use the same weapon type within 5 used weapons. This means that if I use the greatsword, I have to use 5 different variant weapon types before I can revert back to the greatsword category. And just to clarify, a curved greatsword and ultra greatswords are two different categories. Rule number 2, I'm not allowed to use the same weapon twice. For example, if I use the twin blades, the sellswords, I can't use the sellswords again later on when I get back to the twin blade category if I use the twin blades again. And finally, the third, I'm not allowed to grind for souls or upgrade materials. However, if I'm farming a weapon and they drop, it's fair game to use them. This just makes it a little bit harder for me to level up weapons, making it a little bit more of a challenge. Well, with that, we'll head into the game. I'll see you guys there. After finishing up our class, we have our class set to Herald for our quality strength dex being around the same. And then we're going to set our burial gift to a rusted gold coin for our farming of weapons later. For the start of the run, we're going to do our normal, grab the Ashen Flask, make the jump to the rock for a Titanite Shard, and then we're going to be off to Gundyr for our first boss kill. For our first boss, we're going to be using a spear. For a starting weapon, this weapon's pretty decent. Moveset could be better, but in the long run, it got us to where we need to be. Gundyr, small tips. Get a few hits off at the start to lower his health bar before he even gets to attack you. Stay near his right if you can't parry. Just stay near his right and you'll be fine. When he gets down to about halfway, just go behind him and try and stick behind him. Most of the time he'll miss you. After Gundyr's dead, we head straight to Firelink, where we light the bonfire. We head to the Handmaiden, where we're gonna buy a regular firebomb for trading later on. Look through. Grab a halberd as well for later on. And we perform the tree skip. We're not going to be trading with Picopee at the moment. We're just going to grab the Estus shard up here for healables. Roll through this invisible wall to grab the coveted silver serpent ring, which this ring comes in extremely handy for later on, so that we can gain extra souls from bosses to spend on upgrades. We enter the High Wall of Lothric, where we're going to continue forward and grab the bonfire. We grab the lightning pine resin for later on, Vordt, and we head up the stairs instead of through the alley so we can open up this shortcut. So if we want the poison axe later on, we can grab that from the mimic. We make our way into the building where we grab the Titanite shard and we drop off this ledge just out here to grab our first weapon of the game, where we're going to use the rapier. After the High Wall of Lothric, we enter straight to Vordt, where we're going to use the Oceirus straightsword as our first weapon for, or should I say the second weapon for the run. In the end, Vordt goes down and we head off to Undead Settlement. At the start of Undead Settlement, we jump off the wall, head straight down to the dogs and pick up the alluring skulls. After, we grab this bonfire so we can return to it later on. We then grab the Estus shard for heals, and then pick up this Cyanide shard for upgrades in the future. We head over the rooftops and grab the bonfire here before we return to Greatwood. We enter this building, head up the stairs and make a jump to this pickup where we'll be picking up our second weapon of choice, the Great Scythe.
Very well.
After that, we'll head to Firelink to level up, where we're going to increase our dexterity and our strength, making a quality build for us to build higher quality and higher requirement statted items later on. We jump off the bridge and grab this Tyrannite shard, and then we run back to grab the bonfire, where we're going to perform the same skip we did last video, where we're going to jump off this cliff and roll past the pot throwers. 1, 2. We're going to go say hi to Sigurd, our main man, who we're actually going to go see later on. See you later, Sigurd. After reaching the bottom of the elevator, we're going to head straight for the door to the Road of Sacrifice. We're going to talk to Oceirus again to continue his quest line, again for later on. We're going to grab the Grass Crest Shield for increased passive stamina regen. Kill the dog so we can activate this bonfire. And then we attempt to kill these 2 NPCs again. These 2 NPCs drop some major weapons that we plan to use later on. The Great Hammer and the Exiled Greatsword. We get invaded here unfortunately, so I try and deal with Hazel. But as you can see, we get hit with the worst luck possible. After that unfortunate death, we unlight our first cauldron. Then we unlight our second. Being ganked along with it. After picking our souls back up though, we finally get the third cauldron. And we head straight for the Old Wolf of Farron, where we can get the Dream Chaser's Ashes for the unlimited Titanite Shard purchase. We head back to Firelink to talk to Ceres, where we exhaust the dialogue. We give the Handmaiden's Ashes to the Dream Chaser's Ashes to the Handmaiden, so we can buy infinite Titanite Shards, which will grab 12 of, after deciding to sell our soul to purchase. For the next boss fight, we choose to use the rapier. Which we choose to upgrade to level 3, and then we're off to Crystal Sage. Fun fact about the rapier was the first weapon I ever beat every Dark Souls game with, and Elden Ring. If Sekiro had one in there, I'd use that. If Bloodborne had one in there, I'd use that too. The rapier at +3 isn't too bad damage. It's pretty average, I'd say, for this early game. It takes down Crystal Sage fast enough that I don't need to worry too much about it. And that's... After taking out some of her duplicates, we finish off the fight. And that's Crystal Sage. On our way to Cathedral of the Deep, we stopped by to pick up these ashes and get absolutely bodied in the corner. We pick up these ashes to get the Lloyd Shield Ring, which will help us with defense later on. We pick up the Cathedral of the Deep bonfire, and we head back to Firelink where we continue Sirius' quest and level up our stats a little bit more. We upgrade our strength so we're able to hold the Great Scythe.
Farewell, Ashen One.
And then we head back to the Undead Settlement to go see our boy Sigurd.
I went up the...
We use Sigurd as cannon fodder so that we can get this item up on top of this roof, a pale tongue later on, just in case we need to reset. And we continue forward through the Undead Settlement to grab the Flint Ring, which will increase our damage the lower our crit load. We head down to this tower, where we carefully make our way down because we're low health. To grab one specific item for this run, which will be the Chlorophyll Ring. After that, we make our way through the graveyard, over the rooftops, and open this giant door to the cathedral. After entering, we grab the Lloyd Sword Ring to increase our damage at full health and open up the shortcut back to the Cathedral of the Deep bonfire. Well, Cleansing Chapel bonfire, my bad. After that, we open up this shortcut door. Head up the elevator. Roll off onto this rooftop. Past this knight on the scaffolding. Drop down. And finally we can enter Rosaria's bedchamber. This is where we'll be respecking when we need to, which we'll probably need to do a few times. After respecking, we head straight to Deacons, where we take the +1 Great Scythe and give it an attempt against the Deacons in the Deep. The first phase, it doesn't seem too bad, as it's a 3 to 4 hit. However, entering second phase, and even with the sweet spot mechanic, it doesn't do as good of damage as I thought it would do. In the end, I end up switching to Abyss Watchers to use the Scythe, as the main route for killing Abyss Watchers with this weapon is backstabbing and then following it through with a heavy hit. Using that strategy, we eventually get first phase down for a backstab, a light hit, and then another light hit just in time before we get hit. After that, the same routine for second phase goes by, where we wait for a specific attack, like this one. We roll forward behind him to get a backstab, and we follow through with a charged heavy. Following this pattern, we end up finishing off the Abyss Watchers fight very easily. After the Abyss Watchers, we head straight back to Firelink, where we use the souls we just gained to level up our strength and dexterity so we can wield our next weapon. We also level up endurance a little bit to increase our stamina. We level up the exiled greatsword for the Deacons fight, which you can see is doing substantial increase in damage compared to the great Scythe. Clearing Deacons in like 1 to 2 hits. After entering second phase, you can finally see this weapon shine brighter than the curved great scythe, the great scythe. Some could say it's because it's +3, but we all know it's just better in general. It's the X. The next weapon we're going to be using is the Great Club, which we upgrade to +3, and we head to the catacombs, where we take the shortcut to the right, down, run past the bull, over the bridge, and we touch Wolnir's chalice. The Great Club's amazing for damage, especially for Wolnir. One charged heavy takes out the ring, the first ring. We missed the first hit of our heavy club on the second. We do another heavy, another miss, and then we finally destroy the second ring with a light hit. Again, you can abuse Wolnir when he's doing his smoke. Me, I'm getting a bit greedy. I go for the heavy and finish the fight, destroying his third ring with one more light. We end up heading into Irithyll, where we fight the Pontif watchdog, again for the best ring in the game. In my opinion, the Pontif right eye, for future use. We then we get summoned by Ceres to fight Kraton, which this heavy club absolutely, great club, absolutely obliterates, ending the fight very quickly.
Thank you for your kind assistance. Blessing of the moon upon your journey.
We head through Irithyll, not getting treated like a human kebab this time, and heading all the way through, getting to the Church of Yhorm. We make our way through the basement of crawling entities, I don't know what this is called. We head to the distant manor bonfire, where we proceed to filing to get our cat ring, and we proceed through Irithyll dungeon to do the skip the entirety of Profaned Capital. Again, if you don't know how to do it, you line yourself up to where I am. Not here, right? Hit now. Then just line yourself forward and just backstep. Near enough always, you'll get the timing right, or the position right. After that, we open up a shortcut and we head straight to Yhorm. Yhorm, we're using this greatsword. Yes, it's different from a curved greatsword, so we can use it. We charge it up as normal. As I said, we charge it up as normal and we just lay it into Yhorm, ending the fight pretty easily. After Yhorm, we upgrade our intelligence to 18 and our strength a little bit higher so we can potentially two-pound weapons later on. We head back to the bonfire in Yhorm's boss fight and we farm these priests. We're looking for one specific weapon here. Unfortunately, we don't get it on our first run. Luckily for us, the Great Club makes it really good. and easy to kill. The second run, we also don't get anything, unfortunately. And finally, the third run, we get the Handmaiden's Dagger, which we upgrade our endurance more to get more stamina, and we upgrade the Handmaiden's Dagger too. +3. We head through Irithyll, past the Silver Knight, which we'll be coming back to later on. We equip the Alluring Skulls, which we're going to use to dodge past the dogs. We make our way up the staircase and then open the shortcut, just in case. After opening the door, we head straight to Pontif, where we abuse the fact that our dagger's got a 110 critical. Where we fail parry, apparently. Luckily, we've got many other attempts where we can abuse the dagger's specialty. First phase goes on without a breeze. After 3 parries, we enter second phase, where it gets a little bit more rough. We damage him before pre-phase just to get some extra damage in, maybe risking 1 less parry. Pontif always goes to summon her or his clone, and we're going to use this clone to manipulate Pontif into doing the parry attacks. As you can see, we can predict he's going to do a very successful parry attempt when his clone jumps forward. You can use a parry animation to lure Pontif's clone away from him if you're struggling to see. After Pontif, we head our way through Irithyll, further into Irithyll towards Analondo, where we head up these stairs. We drop off the edge of this roof to grab the ashes for infinite large Titanite purchases, and we turn the contraption to head up the tower. We then enter Analondo, lighting the bonfire for teleportation later on, and we upgrade the halberd to +6. We then attempt Aldricjh. Being 100% honest, this weapon was probably one of the worst in the 26 weapons we used for this game. The damage just seemed mediocre for a +6 weapon, especially against Aldricjh. We had to watch out for her side swipe because it would instant kill us. But as you can see, the halberd eventually picks up a little bit of damage if we continuously poke her rear end of her tail. Stick to her end of the tail if you don't want to get hit by most of her attacks. Again, she'll spawn always in the opposite side of where you are, so take the advantage of that to manipulate where she goes. After a very long fight, eventually the halberd prevails and Aldricjh succumbs to it. After Aldricjh, we're going to be fighting Dancer next. The choice of weapon for Dancer is the Kaistus, so we head back to Undead Settlement, head into the sewers, and pick up the Kaistus next to these rats. And then we dip out of here. We upgrade the Kaistus to +7, and then we head straight for Dancer, where as you can see, I got very close, and then got clapped. Unfortunately for Dancer, I've got more experience fighting this boss than I do real life experience, so I know it doesn't look it, as I'm taking more hits than Snoop Dogg does. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Keeping to Dance's backside is the best bet for her. Again, standing on her right side when she enters the second phase, you can just walk the opposite way she's rolling. Always roll in the 6th. After a few more taps on Dance's booty, we finally put her down. After Dancer, we head into Lothric Castle. For one purpose. We head through the stairs, over the bridge where the dragons are watching. Get hit by a firebomb. Twice. Before we finally make up upstairs. Hit this elevator for later on use, as we're not fighting Dragonslayer yet. We head off this balcony, just ahead of us. Watching out for the dragon tail, you don't want to hit that. And we're gonna fight this mimic. This mimic will drop us a very useful item, for which we plan to use next. After he dies, we pick up the Sunlight straightsword, which then we upgrade our faith to finally be able to wield it. We grab one Titanite. Then a crystal lizard kills itself for the second. Just double checking I got that. Then we kill this other crystal lizard for the third. We pick up our 4th in Lothric Castle. A 5th in the Dragon Barracks. And our 6th and 7th in the Dragon's Barracks. We then buy a Prism Stone and a large leather shield to then perform the tree skip and trade it with Pickupy, each giving our 8th and 9th Twinkling Titanite. This in total will allow us to upgrade our Sunlight straightsword to +3. Well, we attempt to do Oceirus, but for some reason he wants to do the no animation tech this playthrough. So instead of the Sunlight straightsword, we get the sellswords. We upgrade it to +8. Just for the lols and just rail Oceirus with it. We've also put on a set of armor just to negate one extra hit, just in case, making it a little bit easier on us.
Where have you gone? Are you hiding from me? Come out. Come out. Don't be afraid.
When he does his miss, you can always attack his tail. He also gets very angry when he touches his tail.
Now, show yourself, Ocelot. My dear little Ocelot.
About a quarter, about a third way down his health bar, he kind of slams his baby in the ground and goes into rage mode. As you can see, no tell at all, just instant karma. He does his crystal wave or flying plays, and he throws a little tantrum because he hears his baby cry. Eventually, after a while, Oceirus will start to run away. Like a little... Ooh. But in the end, he succumbs to the sellswords and dies. After Scythe, we go to pick up the Path of the Dragons emote. We then use this emote to head to the Archdragon Peaks, where we'll continue this to grab the ashes for infinite titanite chunks. We enter Archdragon Peaks. We roll through the onslaught of enemies towards the Ancient Wyvern, and we plunge attack off the edge with the Morning Star to clean Wyvern's health. We roll past Dragon. Just Dragon. We roll past Magic Lady. And we hit the bonfire of Great Belfry. We then get hit by this roly-poly, where we finally grab the dragon's ashes, which we give to the handmaiden to finally be able to buy infinite titanite chunks. Due to the challenges we set at the start, we have to fight Greatwood, as inevitably we have to transpose a few souls here and there. So as we spoke about before, Greatwood is a pretty simple, kind of unkillable fight really. You start at the chest, head for the foot or the hand, and you just rotate between the two. You then destroy the hand. Or not. Once you hit the ground, you destroy the hand. Then you destroy the under the left leg. And you can either go for the stomach, or if you have the chance, you can destroy the hand. We finally make it to Firelink, where we give the transposing kiln in so we can buy our first boss weapon, the Moonlight Greatsword. We then grab Titanite Scales to upgrade this weapon. We grab one from Consumed King's Garden, two after the Consumed King near the Path of the Dragon emote, where we grab one from the chest and the second one here, totaling a 3. We then head to the Profaned Capital, where we kill Paul and we kill the Crystal Lizard for our 4th. We then open up the chest next to the Branding Iron Ladies for another 2 Titanite Scales, and we head to the Sunlight Altar for another one. We upgrade our intelligence so we can wield this beast of a weapon, altering our strength and our dex to align with it. Where we start to fight Dragonslayer. Be wary, we have upgraded this weapon to +3. Dragonslayer is extremely weak to magic, so this weapon's probably the perfect choice for Dragonslayer. As you can see, dealing massive amount of damage even just at +3. 2 steps down of where this boss should be for weapon level. After a not so hard fight, Dragonslayer succumbs to the Moonlight Greatsword. Unfortunately, due to an error, we did lose the files for me showing you that I picked up the notched whip and upgrading it. So here I am, I have to respec back into dexterity and a quality build in general to be able to use the notch whip. Do you see the issue I made? You'll see an issue when I get around to the weapon that requires what I just messed up. So we increase our endurance, dexterity and strength to a quality build where we start to fight Lauren and Lothric. Lauren and Lothric's first phase was a breeze, so I didn't really see the need of showing it. We did upgrade the notched whip to +9. When all in all, this fight is just a dodge to the back, whip, dodge, 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 until you get to the back where you can whip. Unfortunately, we do end up getting really unlucky here and getting caught by the little hitbox at the very end of this attack. But eventually, after a few more runs, we end up ruining Lothric's whole career. After Lauren and Lothric, we upgrade the washing pole to +7. So that we can fight Soul Cinder. Soul Cinder went pretty well. Pretty basic fight. The washing pole is extremely strong for a weapon that's really, really underleveled where we're supposed to be. Taking off chunks of his health at a time with brilliant reach. This fight doesn't last long. First phase ends very smoothly with nothing too worrying happening. Second phase starts, proving that the washing pole is very strong, especially in second phase where there's going to be a lot more openings for me to attack. After not such a long fight, Sword the Dart goes down to the washing pole, checking off the final boss of the game, but we're not quite done yet. We then head into Dreg Heap, where we plan to pick up our next weapon. We head down the stairs and off the cliff, where we continue forward up the building to grab the Aquamarine dagger. We then proceed through the Dreg Heap skip, where we kill this little angel summoning dude for 2 Titanite. Twinkling Titanite. We then head down to the demon prince's bonfire, where we'll head back to Firelink. We'll upgrade the Aquamarine dagger to +4. But before that, we grab an extra Pale Tongue because we got a respec because I actually put all my points into Faith instead of Intelligence. So we hit our strength and dexterity back to normal, and we increase our intelligence back to 18 instead of faith. We then fight Demon Princess with the Aquamarine Dagger. We first take out the Demon of Pain, as we always want the Demon of Blow as our second phase boss. as you can see, the dagger doesn't do too bad damage, especially with the Pontif right eye ring. That damage adds up very quickly. Eventually, we take down Demon of Blow because it's a one-on-one fight, and there's no way I'm losing to a Demon Prince on one-on-one. We end up dying, unfortunately, to the second phase Demon Prince as the AoE hits me, but eventually we get back to the Demon of Blow being killed. So we can start second phase again. Second phase starts and it goes off very well. As you can see, damage we are taking off isn't poor, so this fight will go relatively smoothly. The one benefit of this weapon is this weapon's crit when used. It's not ideal as it's not stronger than any of the other daggers, it's just a base 100 crit, but it still takes off a chunk of damage. So after a small amount of hits, we can crit very quickly, and we do this multiple times over. Eventually, the fight comes to its final parts, where Demon Princess tries his best to escape, knocking me on my ass. Luckily for me though, I'm an athlete, so I get there. Demon Princess eventually tries to finish me off with the same move he did earlier, but ends up being killed by his tomfoolery. After the Demon Princess, we head into the Ring City DLC. After entering the Ring City, we are now going over the Archer's Bridge, where we'll drop down off the edge to skip the entire thing. We'll then light the inner wall bonfire and straight down the stairs out the door. Don't get hit by Midir's on the way to the shared grave bonfire. And then we go and farm the twin-winged knight halberds. After that we upgrade them to +6. And then we give Midir a little boop off the bridge. We'll be seeing him again soon. We open up the shortcut to the inner wall bonfire and we head down to the statue where we can get a +3 chlorophy ring to increase stamina. We then fight Midir. Naturally you'd be using lightning resin on him, but unfortunately we didn't have any at the moment. So all it was just a quick boop here, boop there with my twin axes to eventually get him down. But it is not an overly rough fight in general, as long as you're a little bit patient. About halfway down, you'll find that he does a nuke, or diva bomb, depending on what you want to call it, to transition. Give him a quick boop or two before he erupts, and then we're on to phase 2. Eventually in phase 2, you'll end up staggering him. Just like that. This will take a huge chunk of damage out of him. I'm gonna quickly hit him to lower him through health, and then this should almost finish him off. We end up finishing him off with a couple more hits to the head with these winged knights, and that's Midir done. Now for fun, we head straight to Firelink, where we're going to buy the Lorian's Greatsword. And we're going to upgrade that to +3. And then we're going to go and fight Half-Light. This weapon's amazing for for one reason, really. Its heavy attack is busted. Once we deal with the healer, we can absolutely abuse and bully Half-Light. By continuously charge attacking, we can continuously stagger him out of his recovery animation, making this Half-Light fight a joke. After Half-Light, we enter the painted world of Arendelle. We're going here to grab the Crow Talons, and to knock Wilhelm off the edge of a cliff, giving him payback for everything he's done to me prior. We make our way to a almost death, and we hit the bonfire at the chapel outside of Frieda. We upgrade the Crow Talons to +5, and then we're off to Gael. These weapons for Gael are very low level. We're going to do basically barely any damage, so we're going to rely on poison through the first phase. Luckily, we get the poison off, and we enter second phase very soon. Second phase starts, and it's basically a race to see if I can poison him. Unfortunately, the time to poison is very particular. You gotta hit repetitively, otherwise you don't really build up quick enough. As you can see, I don't end up proccing poison, so it's all about an endurance fight now. Two hits of my weapon only does 120 damage with no buffs on, which I don't run any buffs for the rest of this fight. So it's a continuous endurance fight overall. Playing it safe with Gael's 3-hit combos, punishing when I can. Eventually, after a good, 6-minute fight, which I haven't showed all of it, but after about 6 minutes of this fight going on, Gael finally falls to the Crow Talons. After Gael, we then move on to our next weapon. We head to Irothul and pick up Smaug's Great Hammer. We have to increase our strength to 30 so we could two-hand this weapon, and then we upgrade it to +2. We start Frieda's fight. This fight is, it was pretty difficult to be fair at the start, as I could barely see through the hammer. But we don't do terrible damage. Eventually we get to about halfway through a first phase where I learned that you can heavy attack twice, dealing massive amounts of damage to her during these staggered phases. We punish her late times, where she goes invisible to end first phase. Second phase was a little bit harder. Most of it was just tedious 1 or 2 hits, then running away from her doing her frost stomp. Well, no, it's not a stomp in this game, but frost waves. And going in and out from trying to dodge her whilst trying to deal damage to the father. As you can see at the moment, when she goes to heal, we got to get rid of that. an extremely close call because that would have one-tapped me. Eventually, after a lot of running around and whacking that booty of the father, we end up killing him and entering third phase. Third phase starts off as usual with her black flame pillar, where we backstab and we get a easy punish. Tapping her from behind, of course. Most of this fight acts the same as every other fight. Wait for the attacks, backstab, punish afterwards. We get very close to dying here, but luckily Frieda ends this off with a flame pillar, making it an easy W. After Frieda, we buy the repeater bow from the transposing kiln. And we proceed to let Greatwood go to Firelink. We grab Loretta's bone, realizing she's dead. Taking it back to Greatwood, where we can tell his wife is dead and he can send himself into a deep depression. He ends up disappearing, so we decide that whilst we wait for defeating a boss so he can come back, we upgrade the bow for now, just so we can have it later on. But since we need to beat a boss, we gotta find another weapon. Which that weapon I decided would be the Drang twin spears. We also killed the Drang hammers dude, but unfortunately we don't get a drop from him, so... Which I didn't know. You can only have one drop per run, but you know. You learn something new every day. We upgrade the Drang twin spears and head straight for Nameless. Now these weapons were a pain in my rear. Like, the length of the spears sucked. The damage in general was very mediocre. I thought they'd be higher for a +3 weapon, but I was wrong. So yeah, getting used to the distance of this weapon was horrendous. Luckily, first phase of Nameless isn't too bad. Eventually he goes down. Second phase is a decent bit harder. We've got to play it a lot more safe, as Nameless King's a lot more aggressive. Luckily, the damage for Nameless King's a little bit better. This fight lasted a while, between like 4 minutes, as I was playing it extremely safe. As you can see, a lot of walking around. Eventually we enter second phase, where he starts doing lightning spears. Rolling just after a second of him throwing it into the sky will get you a safe roll through that. We get the repost, encountering it, and then rounding off the fight eventually. With a swift counter to the side. After we kill Nameless, Greatwood returns to Firelink, where we can buy some heavy bolts. These heavy bolts we will use for the repeater bow to fight champion Gundyr. I found that when using the repeater bow, if you're not hitting headshots, it's absolutely horrendous. So my main strategy was parry, then repeater bow, headshots to get the most amount of damage out of it as possible. Which this method worked very efficiently. Once I could get all the parries down, that is. So after a good, 7 parries, Gundyr goes down to the repeated bow very easily. Our next weapon is the straightsword, which we buy from the handmaiden at Firelink. We upgrade this weapon to plus 10, being our first plus 10 weapon in the entire game. And then we head straight to Gravetender, where we unfortunately die 1 hit off. Bad doggo. We end up making it to second phase again, where we kill the NPC to get the Valor Heart. And then we're back to doggo, where when you see the little whoosh attack, which should be appearing any second now. Yeah, here you go. You want to dodge right, just as this attack's about to hit you. This will ensure the most safest route of dodging his attacks. Again, most of his attacks are the same as the off-side fight, which is under the mountain. So if you're used to that, you're used to this fight. At least like phase 1. Phase 2 is a lot easier, personally, because there's a lot less to worry about. After a lot of dodging, we eventually reach second phase. Here you go, here's second phase. He does this howl, which you can punish quite a bit, and then he consistently does this frost breath, which again you can punish. Then again, frost breath again, punish, and we get the crit off, ending this fight entirely. After beating all the main bosses, I'd say, I ended up running out of weapons until I found the Black Blade from this Mimic, which we end up taking the Fire Demon down, exhausting that weapon straight away. Unfortunately for me, the Black Blade isn't the most damaging weapon, so this fight did take a little bit longer than normal. I've also experienced moves for this boss which I've never seen before, like his natural explosion you're seeing now. Never seen that in my lifetime. And eventually he goes down. After Fire Demon dies, we head back to the Transposing Kiln to get the Storm Curve Sword from Nameless King's boss soul. We upgrade this weapon to +2, and we head straight for Old Demon King. Now, it's not the amount of damage I like from a weapon against this boss, as it's probably one of the most tedious bosses to fight, because it's just a bunch of AoE rubbish. But eventually, we stagger him into second phase, where he becomes a flashlight, or a glowing rock, depends what you want to go with. We get him to about halfway, where he starts doing his rain of meteors, and in the end, we end up taking enough damage until he starts charging himself up to do one final Diva Bomb, where we'll grab our souls and finish him off. To rub in Old Demon King's death, we grab his fists, we take it to Andre, and level them up to +2. Where we proceed to pummel Stray Demon into oblivion. At this point, I'd like to thank you for watching. If you have any suggestions for runs later on that I could do, or tips on the video, let me know. Have a good day.